So, I talk a lot about Xbox here. In fact, I've done multiple episodes on Xbox covering why Xbox failed with their exclusivities back in early 2024, when Phil Spencer completely lied to people about putting exclusive titles on on the PlayStation, and of course they happen to be very true, and they've added, I think, Doom Dark Ages, I think it is. That's just been put on PlayStation, and Forza Horizon 5 now. Both of them are on PlayStation. So of course the catalogue, or the quite big catalogue, is actually slowly moving over to PlayStation as well, and it begs the question of what the future of Xbox will actually look like. However, I've been seeing this rumour flying around about Xbox quite a while now, and it's not a new rumour, it's a rumour that's been, I don't know how long it's, like a year or two, or something like that. Now, it's popped up again, and someone posted it in the proper Xbox official community on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, pretty much saying what the future of Xbox could hold. So this is a rumour, of course, like pretty much everything, although that exclusive bullshit was classed as a rumour, but it actually ended up being very much true. Either way, that doesn't mean this will be true. However, next-gen Xbox will be Windows-based with Steam/Epic integration and full backwards compatibility. Steam/Epic Game Store, Steam DF beta already spotted. Windows-based Xbox with a console-like shell. Full Xbox emulation on PC. Backwards compatibility for every Xbox game. Game Pass, new tiers and price restructuring, targeting for 2027. Now, apparently, in 2026, or around there, they are, or no, not, is it 2026? I don't know, or 2027. PlayStation is apparently planning to release the PlayStation 6 or something around there, which is crazy in my opinion, because considering the PlayStation really didn't have a long life at all. Like, I'd say about 2 years, people struggled to buy this console because of the absolute annoying scalping fiasco that went on. And unfortunately, people are just being able to now purchase the PlayStation 5 because it's actually become more readily available. In the past 3 years, ever since like the end of 2021, end of 2022, they properly started becoming. 2023 was actually probably the first year where they fully became readily available, and at 2024, of course, the same. But it's crazy for like them 2 years, like 2021 and 2022, people really just struggle to buy a console. So having that like that, it's not really a big one. However, the future of Xbox, want it to become Windows. Now, I think from my understanding, Xbox kind of runs on a sort of a Windows base anyway. So I think people have tried to install Windows on Xbox before, and they've not been successful. Now, the rumour that people say, or the thing that people say because of it, is they say, well, the reason you can't install Windows on this is because, well, why would you want to install Windows on this? It would defeat the purpose of having an Xbox. And you're not exactly wrong about that. You aren't wrong. It would kind of defeat the purpose of an Xbox. But how would the Xbox sell? They're going to make money from this. Like, it's got to be profitable in some way or another for Microsoft if they're doing this. But apparently this will have a Steam integration as well. Now, if that is true, that is pretty big, I'm not going to lie. That could definitely help boost the sales of the Xbox if it's cheap. Like, if it's the normal price, it's going to be, probably $500. We already know this. It's going to be quite a hefty amount. If it has a Steam integration, they're probably going to end up charging more. I wouldn't be surprised. And an Epic Games integration as well. I wonder if we're going to have like EA's launcher and fucking Ubisoft's shitty launcher as well, probably integrated in there. Will they have a Windows dashboard, or will it be sort of a custom dashboard that Xbox sort of makes for the Xbox Series, whatever the fuck, whatever the fuck they call this Xbox. Xbox naming has gone stupid over the years. They've gone from Xbox original, just Xbox, to the Xbox 360, and then to the Xbox One, and then to the Xbox Series X, and then what are they going to do after this? Xbox Generation 20 or something, I don't know. The names have been kind of all over the place, whereas PlayStation is just PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, like it just counts up simply. I don't know, it's when we get to the PlayStation 23s, I don't know how that's going to go. But it's a lot easier with the names, and you have Xbox just, they don't have a clue what they're doing with their shit, so it's not surprising. But having an Xbox with Steam integration would be pretty cool. And again, full Xbox emulation on PC, so people will be able to emulate. I know you can already I don't know about Xbox Series X games, but I think Xbox One games you can now emulate, and 360 games you've been able to emulate for quite a while, same as PS3 games. And of course, Game Pass. I don't know how they're going to do Game Pass now. People probably just aren't going to pay for Game Pass, or do you need to pay for a Game Pass subscription to be able to actually use Steam? I wonder if they're going to add some stupid bullshit subscription like that. Now, this ties into the whole handheld system. Xbox is confirmed to be releasing some sort of handheld system for the Xbox. I don't know if that still is going ahead or not. They might have just scrapped that behind the scenes, but they are wanting to enter the handheld market, so they're thinking of releasing a cheaper handheld, probably somewhere with the same amount of power as... it's going to be equivalent to an Xbox Series S, probably, in the terms of cheapness. That's quite a cheap console. That costs what? You can buy one now for less than $200 second hand, even cheaper than that. They're very cheap now, them consoles. Not a lot of money, but I'm going to guess the handheld is going to be replacing the Xbox Series S, because the Series S is, I read somewhere, it's making up over 70% of the console's sales for the Xbox Series generation, which doesn't really surprise me at all. It's a cheaper console, and it goes on sale quite a significant amount, and the Xbox Series X, I think, launched like $500 and something. It's quite a lot of money for people, and it was COVID time when it came out as well. You were more likely to buy a Series S than you were an X. In fact, that's what I actually pre-ordered firstly. I pre-ordered a Series S, and I got one almost immediately, and I liked it. And I kept that for about a year, and then decided to sell it to buy... I bought a Series X and then sold it. But I really hope the handheld device, I'm guessing this will be able to emulate, and it's basically going to be competing with the Steam Deck as well. So Steam, if this is true, Steam is probably going to end up getting more sort of players through it as well. Let's have a look at a few opinions of what people think about this. It's going to be a massive flop. PC games don't want a PC they can't upgrade. I'm not going to lie. If there was a cheaper alternative, like PCs are still pretty expensive. For a decent PC these days, yes, you can get cheaper PCs. You get a PC for about $700, depending on the parts you get and depending on the age it is. But let's be honest, a rough estimate on the decent PC is about $1,000. That's quite a fair amount of money. Now, of course, this argument that PC players don't want, or they don't want the PC they can't upgrade, I don't think PC players would genuinely care, especially the PC players who want something cheaper. They probably wouldn't care. And that's what I come to say is, if the Xbox did allow Windows to be installed on it, I'm sure a lot more people would probably pick up a Series X. They would pick up a Series X or an S, and they would use that. It's a cheaper alternative. Hell, a lot of people would enjoy it. And, well, yeah, you can't really upgrade it a lot. That's the only downside it probably has. Or maybe they add that. I don't think they're going to add that. That's just extra fuss. It's a console, for fuck's sake. It's, but if you want the upgradability, you go and buy a desktop. It's like people who buy gaming laptops. The only thing you can sometimes upgrade the GPU on them, but very rarely. Stuff like that. That's good. That's a great thing. Being able to do that. Being able to actually upgrade like that. So hopefully, I wonder if it's going to be a different storage situation, because the storage on the Xbox Series X and S is bad. Very bad. It's like a terabyte is like $200. It's crazy amounts of money, considering compared to the PlayStation 5. You can upgrade that with a normal NVMe. It just has a little slot, you unscrew it, this little casing, and then flip it up, and then just put your NVMe in, and screw it back down, and there you go. I think you have to format it, and you pretty much just got extra storage. And that can go up to 8 terabytes, which is a lot of storage, even with today's price. Even today's, I'll probably fit about 8 games on it these days. But even with today's high inflation of file sizes on games, it still would be more sufficient. Either way, coming to Xbox, or this being on Xbox like this, would be a good thing, but it would probably render the Xbox useless in a way. I don't know how it would. Just buy a PC. What's the point of having an Xbox? This sounds way better than the PS6. I mean, yeah, I agree with a few people saying, what is the point of buying an Xbox? Or what would be the point of selling the Xbox brand? Yes, having Xbox backwards compatible and having the games backwards compatible. I'm guessing they're trying to pretty much use the whole Steam integration to try and sell their console as much as possible. Again, this is a rumor. This might not actually be going ahead, but this is just the case scenario if it does. And to be honest with you, Xbox or Phil Spencer has a tight tendency just to say, doesn't say anything until the very last moment. So we don't know if this is going to be true or not, and they're hoping for a 2027 launch. Of course, we got GTA 6 coming out next year. I don't know how well that's going to handle on the Xbox Series X, let alone the Xbox Series S. I can't imagine it being decent on there at all. I think PlayStation is trying to, or looking for a release around 2027, so they're looking for a decent release back then. They can probably see how it goes. Yeah, the console market is really going weird at the moment. If this is really how the console market is going to be, it's going to be a future of just Steam on consoles. It's going to be a very weird thing. Not going to lie, it's very weird. But I do agree with people. It's going to make the Xbox rendered quite useless in many cases. And why would people want to pay? I mean, we already know PC players absolutely hate subscriptions. If Steam today added a subscription model where you had to pay for online, I can imagine the uproar that would go with that would be fucking incredible. It would be incredible. They don't like paying for it. And to be honest, I don't blame them. Paying for online it was maybe something I could understand in the early 2000s when gaming companies like PlayStation and stuff. In fact, PlayStation didn't even charge for online. They only started paying or charging for online because they saw how Microsoft did it and it was pretty successful for them. So they said, there was a PlayStation Plus subscription, but that was more for like games and stuff like that and discounts. And then PlayStation, of course, said, let's add a subscription. And of course, they added PlayStation Plus with the PS4. And no surprise, that actually caused quite a bit of an uproar when they released that. Not a surprise at all. So I don't think you'd get PC players. I mean, this is probably not going to be tailored towards PC hardcore players, although people may end up buying this instead of a PC because it's a lot cheaper. I know this might be an entry level for some people as well, but that subscription of a Game Pass, imagine you having to have a subscription just to use the Steam app or use any functions on the console. It would be pretty stupid, although I wouldn't be surprised. They've got to monetize everything. They need to make it. Like, I know Microsoft is insanely profitable outside of Xbox. In fact, Xbox is probably just sat there. Well, Activision is probably the most profitable thing for Microsoft. Anything other than that, maybe Bethesda as well, but Xbox itself, I think Game Pass is decently profitable, but Xbox itself isn't. I think that's the only reason they've kept Game Pass how it is because it's still generating some decent profit because people are still, I think, over 20 or so million subscribers. And it's hard to, I don't know how many of them are actually Ultimate subscribers. I'm going to guess a significant amount of them. And of course, Ultimate keeps going up. I think it's nearly, $25 now. So it's a significant amount of money, that is. So of course, they're probably bringing in a good maybe 2 to 3 billion a year. Of course, they probably lose half that to taxes, and then of course paying developers as well, because again, shit ain't free to put them games on there. Developers ain't gonna. I mean, developers do probably end up losing quite a significant amount of money by putting their games on there. But of course, it's probably more beneficial for them to do that because it's free advertisement in a way. It gets more people playing your game and stuff like that, and hopefully they may end up actually liking it so much they end up purchasing it. So yeah, I think having the PC community have to pay a subscription would probably be the hardest part to do. So what happens to the console users who don't want to play with PC gamers for specific reasons? Is there going to be a switch for them to flip and turn off crossplay? That's probably not going to work. So basically a PC, which is honestly a solid idea in terms of little PC gaming / media box, but they also should push it to be stronger. 800 to 1,000, but you can play any game. I'm not gonna lie, it's $800 to $1,000. Nobody's paying a console for that. That is some fucking outrageous number. In fact, at that point, it'd beg the question: should you just buy a PlayStation or just buy a PC? Now, I don't know how the PlayStation. I don't know how inflation is going to be in 2027 when these two consoles probably end up launching. There might be a full-scale war. There might be a chip shortage again. There might be another virus. We don't know. However, let's just hope neither of them happen and the consoles are cheaply priced. But again, having this console, the Xbox just because it can do pretty much everything, I don't want it to be $1,000. That is an obscene amount of cash right there. I understand, yes. They need to make some profit from it probably as well, and I can't imagine it being cheap. I don't know if it's going to use NVIDIA or any. I think both consoles currently use AMD for both their graphics and their CPU. So I'm guessing that it's probably going to be the same, unless NVIDIA would want to chip in with Xbox and see what happens. I don't know, that would be cool. Although that would probably sky high the console to incredible amounts of fucking money. I can't imagine people are going to end up paying 800 to 1,000. People will, but people who actually want a console, I can't imagine them going, oh yes, let me do this. In my opinion, I just think it's not really going to be very good, in my opinion. But hey, I can't really judge how it is. I know that's what someone said. They're expecting it should be stronger. But you can play any game with connected controller. I think that price would probably kill. You just watch. The PS6 will be a minimum of $700, quite possibly $800. When you factor in console games, will be $80 a minute. An Xbox PC games average 20 to 30 cheaper than closed console stores and free online. Could be big. Yes, it could be big. I mean, I don't know how the console market will be in a few years' time. Again, I know with rumours that apparently games are going to be with Rockstar Games rumouring to release GTA 6 for $100, this is most likely going to make a lot of developers actually think twice about their pricing for their games and end up boosting them up. So we can probably say the average price of a game is probably going to be $80 or $90. That is not even the Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Editions are probably going to be an average of 120 to 150 or something like that. So we can see quite a significant sky-high difference if Rockstar's influence actually does go crazy and they end up actually charging $100 for a game. And I can only imagine that probably will end up happening, and that's something I don't want to happen, because that means, holy shit, the market of games is about to get fucked. People now, I think, they probably buy an average of 10 games a year. 10 games a year at $100 a piece, that's going to be some hefty cash right there. considering the console as well. If you're paying for an online subscription, we all know online subscriptions in any sense go up like crazy. I think PlayStation, I think it was 2023, they put the price up again. Not many people were happy with that. In fact, there were a lot of people who were pissed with that, which is very understandable. And of course, that caused a big row. And then Xbox, of course, in 2024 decided, oh shit, we probably should. Well, we're putting Black Ops 6 on Game Pass, so we probably should end up, doing this. So yeah, hopefully, the average game isn't $100 or some crazy shit like that. Just get a PC. They should name it Junk Box. I can't say that Windows-based console is a good idea at all. Windows isn't very consumer friendly. I don't really know if it's. I don't know if it's. It's one of the most popular operating systems out there. I don't know how many people use Windows 11 now. Well, only because they're forced to use it because Microsoft said, well, yeah, if you're using Windows 10 still, we're not going to support it anymore within the sense of security updates or anything like that. So, fuck you. That's essentially what they said. Windows isn't very consumer. A lot of tinkering is needed, and for console gamers, that seems like a recipe for disaster. What's the chance of console players that it might not be even a Windows menu. It might just be a custom thing that's running off the Windows thing. It probably will be. It probably will be a thing. It'd be sort of a custom version of Windows. More like Windows 8 type of thing, maybe. I'm not too sure, but it'll be built off of Windows 12. I'm guessing Windows 12. If it's around then, it probably will be. Or maybe Windows 11 if it's still around. I don't know. If you can't beat them, join them. This move is inevitable for all systems. I don't think it's inevitable for PlayStation. They are probably going to do very strong for a long time. The console market isn't really going anywhere. There will always be people purchasing a console for either convenience or because it's a lot more cheaper, in the sense of they're not having to worry about, I'm going to upgrade to my PC, and with the prices of GPUs, a GPU is this price of the average GPU can be upwards of a price of a fucking console. So you can understand why people are a bit like, type of thing, They're quite a hefty amount of money, GPUs, so it's understandable why people might actually just want to stick with consoles at the moment. However, this rumour is a rumour, obviously, and I think this is the future of Xbox, and I think we might see some good stuff coming out of Xbox with this as well. And PlayStation, hopefully they don't follow suit and they just continue what they're doing, because what's working for them is pretty successful. And I hope to God it continues to do well, because PlayStation are just chugging along. They're chugging along like hell. Yeah, Microsoft games are the top selling in PlayStation's categories, but they're chugging along. PlayStation are probably happy as hell because, well, they're now just gaining all the catalogue of Xbox and the future Xbox titles, so they don't really care. They're all happy. I'm sure the executives are there screaming with joy. They're getting more money because they're taking that percentage from them games as well, so they're probably loving every little second of it, and I can't blame them.